And basically, I just want to start my question with the local government budget application that was developed. I'm so confident that so many young Nigerians would like to engage on social media using the social media platform and the application. But I'm so critical about the outcome of the usage and also the engagement. So if a young person uses the application and downloads information or engage with government figures online, the next question is what is supposed to be the outcome and the benefit at the national level?
Be heard for governance. One of the things that social media does is that it gives you a voice in this big, huge world of control, pockets of control, of exclusion, and all that. So imagine without social media, wherever you are, you wouldn't be heard, and your views and your feelings will not be known. So the first thing that you get a chance to do, as you know, is you get a chance to speak and to contribute. We know that you have representatives in, say, a House of Assembly, a House of Rep, say in the Senate, maybe there's even a commissioner representing your area. But who says they will really represent your interests when they get to wherever they're going? So you get this additional chance to be able to speak. Now the second point is that what is the measure of feedback or outcome that is to be expected? First, you got your voice heard. The second thing, of course, is that the people who are in government, who hide under the cloak of secrecy, they realize that that is removed. That people know what is going on and people can talk about it. Okay? So that with social media, something that is happening in the remotest place is known and heard by everybody. I'll give you one very current example. HDI and partners and some other partners are covering the tribunal set up by government on the BRT crisis, where soldiers beat up drivers and burned. Now, one of the problems the tribunal had was having witnesses. So we went to the tribunal and I told them, well, my people are going to be covering this thing live. We want the whole world to hear what you're saying and for them to talk about what you're saying. The tribunal said, okay, fine, we didn't think of that. So what happens? Two people who witnessed the event replied by social media on Twitter to our handle and said, we were there, we saw what happened, we're ready to come forward. The tribunal was surprised because part of their biggest problem was getting people to come forward. They had all manner of institutions that they had invited to make presentations as institutions, the Army, the BRT itself, NURTW, the media, organizations around where the incident happened. But real witnesses will say, my phone was stolen. Okay, I was beaten. They were having problems because people were scared. But when we kept on tweeting, first I did an interview on how tribunals like this operate, what powers they have, why they are set up, how they assist governance. People then came forward. That's the kind of power that we're talking about. We don't even know where those people live in Lagos State. But they responded and said, look, we were there and we will come. So when you are able to use this, people hear you and they are able to respond to you when it is critical enough. Secondly is that we've noticed that young people prefer to follow entertainment rather than governance. Entertainment is just a part of what makes your life tick. Governance is more critical. Whether or not you get the right kind of education, whether or not your family gets value for the education that is being paid for, whether or not you are going to get employed for the future, whether you have a peaceable adulthood, it all revolves around governance, not around music, not around theater. Those things, well, they help to relax the mind, but that's where it stops. But young people don't engage governance, and that's a big challenge and a big problem. So we developed the app to get them interested in governance issues. Because governance is what will ultimately define the kind of the future that they will have. If you leave the platform whereby politicians steal your money, you can't engage them, you can't prosecute them, they ignore the rule of law, they act with impunity, and all you do is listen to music. There's a big problem. But once the critical mass of people are saying the same thing, oh yes, this is bad, this is not good, this is wrong, and people are talking and talking, they are listening to, and they think about, oh, what we're doing, people are saying it, and it's not right. So if people will change their behavior, or they must go to greater length to cover up their evils. Okay? So these are some of the reasons why. Now the third leg of it is that Do people reply immediately? You engage through the app? Not necessarily. In other words, using the example that I gave you earlier on, I'm driving through a place and I found that the reason I've been on the road 2 hours is a pothole. So, all the people that I know are in government, I send them SMS. Nobody replies me. They've never replied. But somehow, I find that the thing gets done. 2 days, 3 days later, 1 week, somebody comes and patches some palliative. It's not well done. It gets damaged another week or two. And I persist with my SMS. Then you get a chance to see somebody say, you people, I send you I say, Prof, we see the thing. But the number of things coming in, we're busy. They're always busy. Busy doing what? You never can tell. But somehow the information gets to them. Now, I've been told Fashola, for example, as a governor, he has email address, which is in the public domain. People send him emails. And I've been told by friends in government that he actually checks those emails. Not only does he check them, he refers complaints to the appropriate people and insists that they should give him a feedback. Now, if Fashola has an email address that nobody communicates with him on, will he not be frustrated? Yeah. And I have proof from a friend of mine who sent him a petition about a building project that was going on somewhere that had no approval. And the guy is an architect and says, this building will collapse sooner or later. And he sent this mail to Fashola. And Fashola replied and got people to investigate. So that's the power of governance. But if you sit back and you don't, they won't listen. They are in government, he's governor, they don't talk to people like us. You've already defeated yourself. And when the disaster happens, it might affect you more than you thought. So we need to do our bit by engaging. And our local government app is just to create one more platform through which we can. We just want to look by how many ways can we make it possible to engage.
My question is going to be focused on the possible loopholes that you have identified in the governance structure in Nigeria, and what are the possible advice you could give to we youths, because it is said that the youths are the leaders of today, not even tomorrow any longer. So what are the possible advice you give to us on working on these loopholes so that we don't have to create more and then cause more havoc for the next generation?
If you look at the way the structure is, the structure of government itself, there are all manner of challenges. The document that is regulating our relationship has all manner of challenges. That's the Constitution. The way those that we have elected into office, whether you are talking of the legislature, whether you are talking of the executive, okay, the only ones that are not elected are the judiciary. So when you look at these three arms of government, there are all manner of problems. And then when you look at the levels of government, federal, state, and local government, there are all manner of problems. So it is impossible to give a statement that will capture everything about what young people need to be looking at. If you want to narrow it down, you can narrow it down or to local government. Yes. Now, one of the reasons we chose to work in local government, for example, I tell myself, if I'm ever going to be a politician to contest election, I'm not interested in the federal. I'm not interested in the state. I'm interested in local government. Why? This is where I live, this is where I work. If the things around me work very well, the first beneficiary of that is myself. So why do I want to go away to the state or to the local or to the federal level? Now, unfortunately, the local government is status and its role is like the whipping boy of the levels of government. Whereas in other parts of the world, interestingly, the local government has a lot more power and influence. Many people trust their council much more than they want to people they don't see or relate with. The officials at the local government level are easily accessible to you. The distance between your office or your house to the local government office cannot be compared to the distance between your office and your house to the seat of government in the state or federal, where you have to spend so much money to reach. So in terms of contact and interaction, it's closer to you. Thirdly, the system of local government, unfortunately in Nigeria, the way it's been designed is an aberration. Let me explain. Now, it is states who usually create local governments, not the federal government. You don't constitutionalize local government, and that's why there's already a problem, a crisis, although it's somewhat muted, whereby the Constitution recognizes 774 local government and locks it in. So that irrespective of whatever social changes, whatever population changes happen, you cannot adjust, and it's wrong. Because over time, demographic changes would happen. The Lagos of today is not the Lagos of 20 or 30 years ago. So the Lagos of today, they've made a lot of adjustments. So you don't then create 20 local governments and lock it in for Lagos State. Okay? So the Constitution ought not, if the Constitution recognized local government, it would have been sufficient for it to have said that states can create local government as they like. That's point one. Point two, another anomaly is that the federal government ought not to be budgeting and allocating funds to local governments. They have no business doing so. Because it already impacts on what I said, that if you create local governments, can you then go to the federal government and say, I want more money for my local government? It's like you giving birth to babies and coming to meet me to feed them. If you know that you can feed 10 children, have 10 children. But if I'm the one who will feed your children, you have no restraints. You will just have as many as you like and say, go and meet Prof, he will feed you. So that's not the way it goes. But if the arrangement is that there are 4 of us making up this federation, okay, this is how we share our resource. If you like, have 200 children. If you like, have 20 children. It's up to you. Okay? So that's the second problem, that the Constitution allocates funds directly to local governments. And that's a problem. Now, because states realize that local governments are under them, okay, because the Constitution says there's a system of local government that is recognized, but the state will pass a law about how those local governments will run. So many states simply pocket the local government. As we're talking, I think in about not less than 1/3 of the states of the Federation have no elected local government officials. They're appointed. That already tells you that local governments are very weak. The governors can sack them and then appoint administrators or caretaker committees, and that's it. Whereas these people also ought to be elected like other. So that's the second problem. The third problem, of course, is that because this local government is so badly treated and is the whipping boy, it is the most opaque level of government. When the federal government wants to spend money, they prepare a budget, place it before the National Assembly. Whether or not they agree with you, you can look at the budget and say, the amount you want to spend on education is unfair to us youth. You should spend more on education. They may or may not listen to you, but at least you have an idea what they are spending on education. Same thing with the state. When the state government wants to spend money, they prepare a budget, the governors take it to the House of Assembly. Again, you can look at, how much do they want to spend on roads? It's not fair. You should spend more on roads. 3/4 of the roads are bad. But which local government does a budget and puts it in the public domain for you to look at? Yet they are spending money. They collect money from the central port. They collect internally generated revenue. Who do they account to this money for? One of the things our project does is to ask, to make this demand. You are collecting money. The Constitution says that you cannot spend any kobo unless it's been appropriated. So, where are you getting the money that you are collecting from? How much are you getting? How are you spending it? They don't answer. We have to go through all manner of measures and ways to get the budget that the local governments that we're working with, that they use. It's as if it's a priceless, secret document that must not be shared with the world. Even the Ministry of Local Government is not helping. How can they help? Because they are part of the problem, because they take part of the money of local government, they don't allow them autonomy. So when we write, they say, give us the budget of these local governments. Let's see. So that we can challenge them. If in the budget you have put there, you will build this road in front of our office. If you don't do the road, then we can challenge you and say, money was appropriated to build this road. We are saying that the money is claimed to have been spent. And the road remains. We live on this road, and we can tell you that you have not done this road. But that is why they are keeping quiet. They don't want this openness. But we're not letting off. Interestingly, the state government, Lagos state government, as an example, audited all the local governments and came out with a very damning report, which shows that they did not account for some money. There was a lot of fraud and corruption. They spent money without appropriation. They gave loans to themselves. All manner of things. All these things are offline. Nobody knows what is happening. So you hardly find the EFCC arresting people at local government level. Whereas a lot of corruption is working, is operating at the local government level. So the local government level seems to be offline. It seems to be off the radar of many people, but that's where governance and development will start. It is easier to accelerate development by empowering local governments, so that if every local government is efficient, you have the right kind of people there, you have the right kind of oversight, you have the right kind of monitoring and transparency, the multiplier effect will be faster than waiting for Abuja to come and build your road, waiting for Abuja to come and fix your health center, waiting for Abuja to come and pay your teachers. You know, it doesn't work that way. Development will be slower and all that. So if I would say, what would I advise young people to focus on? I say, look, focus on the level of government that is closest to you. Don't aspire to go to Abuja and become a minister and become a special advisor. You want to make a change, start close to you. As they say, charity begins at home.
One question is a follow-up from Ebenezer. How can we get the youths more involved and more aware of what's happening in government right now? Because most youths of Nigeria don't really care about the government or what's happening. All they care about is more of entertainment or luxury stuff. So how can we get them more involved and more?
You are already sensitized. You just have to win more advocates. Sometimes people don't even know that this is what they are doing. They show no interest and they don't know that it's affecting them. You've just got to tell them it's in your interest to show concern, is in your interest to find out what is happening, because ultimately it will catch up with you. I mean, for example, if you don't show an interest in how you are being governed and the government is not governing properly, there is a lot of wastage. They won't create jobs. When you graduate, you just have a piece of paper. There are no jobs. That's the first sign that you have been careless. Okay? You have been careless. So you need to engage. And one of the ways to engage is to find out what is happening, not in a violent or... That's why I said that the way to show that an idea is foolish is to bring a better idea, to expose the weakness in that idea. So, and the strongest and the greatest advantage that young people have is the power of technology. And technology is the way of the future. It's very clear to all of us now that whether it is in government, whether it is in medicine, whether it is in administration of justice, whether it's in education, you name it, technology is making things easier, more efficient, cheaper, and faster. And who are the people who have skills? It's young people. It's young people. So if they don't realize that this really is for us, and we've got to engage, then the result is not going to be very palatable going down the line. So my advice is that those of you in entire Nigeria and other young people, you simply need to make more advocates. You need to make more advocates. When you call people's attention, you say, well, I didn't know. Okay. You see, even if it's dividing the time you spend on entertainment and YouTube, looking at other things, on some governance issues, even if it starts from your faculty, you'll be surprised. I'll give you one example. Before now, it was notorious for judges in Lagos State to sit late. The rules are that they must sit at 9 a.m. Some judges will not sit until 10, 11, 12, 1 p.m. So one young man started publishing a magazine. All he did, he will find out what time the judge sat and he will publish it. He didn't say anything, no more than that. He will just say, court so, presided over by Judge so. On this day, sat at 11 o'clock. When judges started seeing this day, because nobody was talking before, they started sitting on time. It changed the culture and the behavior. This young lawyer, who was my student in Lagos State University, published this magazine called Squib. And judges will talk to you when you say, the fear of Squib. Squib will not arrest you. But Squib will embarrass you by publishing what you didn't want known, that you are a lazy judge. You have not been sitting according to the rules. They simply made it open. So imagine if students organized themselves and they were to publish on a regular basis when lecturers came to class, whether they did their work or they didn't. No analysis. Just the subject, the name of the lecturer, and whether they came to class or did not come to class. You have a syllabus in your hands, there's a prospectus. Whether they cover the syllabus or not, no analysis. You'll be surprised at what changes you have made That's governance.
Yeah.
That's governance. You, by simply just, and who is the lecturer going to? You will get the people to whom the lecturer has no control over to publish the thing. So if you are in medicine and you think they can victimize you, you get the people in history to publish it. And the people in history will publish for some other department. And they don't know what is going on. You've already changed the way they relate to you. Okay? So that will make the lecturers to sit up. Lecturers will change their attitude. And you could use the same template for so many other things. You know, in your own community. So that's what governance is all about. But, you know, people feel that it's not my business. I don't have to say anything. Or they feel that, oh, if I talk, somebody will say I'm the one talking. But if you don't talk, it's going to affect you negatively. So you've got to make a calculated judgment. If you like, say it's in my interest, whether selfish or altruistic, it's in my interest to say something.